Because of his strength and boldness, a feral family captures a man and imposes their wicked customs on him to turn him into their new patriarch. One night in the middle of the woods, a couple's making love when a masked man named Old Daddy cleaves the axe into Phil's back, terrifying Sarah. Immediately, she tries to flee, but the masked man directs his next attack on her. Before he can strike her, Sarah grabs a knife from his pocket and stabs the man with it. She sprints away from the attacker, but the man pulls the knife from his stomach and throws it to Sarah. Though she collapses to the ground, Sarah tries to crawl her way out, but Old Daddy approaches her and kills her with the axe. The following day, another couple named Max and Stacey arrive in the same area, and they are in awe at the tranquil view of the lake. For him, he's a lucky man because being surrounded by lush trees is a change of pace he needs. As they venture the trail to find a place to camp, Max encounters another camper named Rex, and the pair exchange greetings. However, Max becomes furious after he discovers that he's ogling his girlfriend. He gives him a piercing gaze as a warning, and Rex immediately averts his eyes and continues his walk home. During their time in finding a camp, Max carefully guides Stacey whenever they're crossing bodies of water or a tree trunk bridge just to ensure she's safe. Once they've found the perfect spot to camp, Max prepares their campfire and watches in pride as Stacey independently starts to assemble their tent. Later on, he successfully starts a fire, so he orders Stacey to hand him the pot for their meal. The woman complies, and out of curiosity, she wonders what they'll have for dinner. With a chuckle, Max informs her that they'll be eating beans and sausages because that's the only food she's brought. Because it gets cold at night in the forest, Max volunteers to gather more wood for their fire, leaving Stacey alone in the camp. Amid his gathering, Max feels uneasy after noticing that a masked woman is watching him behind the tree. Since he's distracted, Rex grabs him from behind and suffocates him until he's unconscious. Rex reveals that he's returned and subdued him, for he wants to take advantage of Stacey without Max's interference. Shortly after, Max slowly regains consciousness, but he becomes alarmed when he sees the masked woman named Bunny Girl approach him. The woman senses Max's terror, so the masked woman leaves abruptly. Putting such matter aside, Max hears that Rex is executing his evil plan, infuriating him. Max proceeds to sneak behind Rex, who's preoccupied with Stacey, and he strikes him with a rock. Even if he's injured, Rex continuously provokes Max and threatens to kill him with his knife. An unfazed Max pushes his hand aside, and he takes the advantage of grabbing the knife from Rex's shoe. Afraid for his life, Rex pleads with Max to spare him as he promises never to bother him. Max refuses to yield and jumps right into business by ordering him to roll over. Hesitantly, Rex complies, and Max gives him the taste of his evilness by stabbing his crotch. Vengeful, Max slits his throat, but the momentary rush he feels from ending his life ends because Bunny Girl strikes him unconscious. That afternoon, Max awakens and finds himself bound inside an unknown cabin, which terrifies him. He tries to free himself, but Bunny Girl's presence stops him, so he just inquires her about their location. He adds that he wants to know Stacey's whereabouts, but the masked woman never provides any answer. Instead, the curious woman gives him a once-over and proceeds to leave, much to his disappointment. With the door open, Max decides to move in its direction, but he is interrupted when a dying Old Daddy appears. His concerning state horrifies Max, leaving him frozen in place. At that moment, the bride, alongside Bunny Girl, enters the cabin, and the pair begin to examine him. Max interrogates them about their identity, but the women continue to observe him, further making him uncomfortable. Upon helping him get up, Max continuously expresses his confusion about his current location, but the bride urges him to be silent. When Max refuses to listen, the woman slaps him, and this is enough to silence him. The bride scrutinizes his face, and when she sees fear, she suddenly bursts out laughing. Then, she continues to touch him inappropriately, which provokes Max to bash his head on her. For this reason, Bunny Girl pushes him to the ground, allowing the bride to punch him on the crotch repeatedly. However, the masked woman feels Max's suffering, so she intervenes, much much to the bride's disappointment. Right away, the two women become alarmed after they hear old daddy's agonizing pain. While they're mourning the man's impending doom, Max decides to free himself by severing the bonds using a knife. Now free, Max sprints away from the cabin, but his escape is disrupted as Granny threatens to shoot him. He tries to plead with her to set him free as he wants to look for his girlfriend. Regardless of his pleas, Granny orders him to return, so the helpless man simply complies. Once inside, Granny orders Bunny Girl to restrain Max, whereas the bride is tasked to retrieve a hammer and nail. To ensure that Max won't try to escape again, Granny drives the nail into his feet, eliciting a painful scream from him. As Max is still enduring the pain, Granny, alongside the two women, begins to gather the flesh from their deceased patriarch's body. During dinner, Bunny Girl pities Max, who's yet to have his meal, so she heads to his location and offers him a piece of old daddy's flesh. Before Max can accept it, Granny reprimands Bunny Girl, causing her to retreat. Granny approaches him and examines his face, which gives her hope that he can replace their previous patriarch. The elder walks up to old daddy's body and gathers his private parts, their way to welcome Max to their family. Then, the woman returns to Max and serves him the organs from her hands. For him, it's something he can't consume, so he pretends that he isn't hungry. This irks Granny, so she orders Bunny Girl to retrieve her hammer and nail to coerce him into consuming her offer. Even if it's against his will, Max decides to eat the organ, but he can't stop himself from retching out of disgust. To help him consume it fully, the bride uses her hand to prevent him from expelling it from his mouth. In the end, Max successfully consumes the organ, which gives him a bit of relief. Sadly for him, Granny offers another one, much to his dismay. That night, Max is disturbed when he watches Granny aggressively remove the mask that's glued to old daddy's face. The elder then places the mask in front of the fire to melt the adhesive left on it. The following day, the bride and Bunny Girl playfully head to the nearby creek to clean the mask, whereas Granny stays in the cabin to prepare the mask's adhesive. Abruptly, she stands up to grab a bowl of water for Max. She proceeds to clean his face, as well as his wound, to prepare him for the masking ceremony. Afterward, she restrains Max to prevent him from resisting when she puts the mask on him. Not long after, the pair return to their cabin, and Granny orders them to subdue Max. He starts to become terrified as Granny puts on the scorching hot mask on his face, which eventually leads him to lose consciousness. At night, Max awakens in pain because Granny has removed the nail from his feet. Due to his scream, the bride grabs him from behind and invites him to return to sleep. Surprisingly, Granny suddenly appears with a blanket in hand, and she wraps it around her family members for comfort. Still, Max finds them threatening that he has a hard time finding sleep. By morning, Max hears a muffled sound of women singing, rousing him from sleep. He proceeds to try leaving, knowing that the nails removed from his feet. Outside, Max is surprised to find Granny with a gun, as the woman knows he plans to escape. Now, the elder takes Max, who's now the patriarch, to old daddy's funeral, and the other two members of the family approach him to seek comfort. However, Max simply plays along with them because he doesn't want to perish under Granny's hands. Later at dinner, the bride feels concerned for Max as he's absent-minded and remains unmoving. Therefore, she volunteers to feed him, but the man's too overwhelmed to function. This time, she urges Max to lie down as she plans to make love to him as a way to alleviate his pain. Max returns to his senses, but he feels uncomfortable with the bride's actions, so he tries to prevent her from touching him. Suddenly, Granny threatens to shoot him with her gun if he profusely refuses, so Max gives in even if it's against his will. Immediately, the bride begins to disrobe him and herself before initiating their intimate moment. The next day, the bride and Bunny Girl take Max into the creek to take a bath. Since Max remains unmoving, the bride starts cleaning him herself, but Bunny Girl checks on him because she's concerned about him. Max remains silent, so the pair just helps him bathe. On their way home, the group passes by the graves, and the bride offers a flower to their casualties. In the evening, while Max is asleep, Bunny Girl tries to take advantage of him, but Granny forbids her from pursuing it. Regardless, the woman continues to act on her desire, which awakens Max. He feels wronged by her behavior, so he shoves her and she tries to attack him. Out of anger, Max overpowers her and even throws Bunny Girl's mask away, leading it to be broken. Upset, she screams at him, hoping to repel him, but this motivates Max to take advantage of her instead. One morning, Max awakens and finds that the rest of the family members are having breakfast, and this makes him feel hungry. To the members' surprise, Max joins them and even eats according to their ways. Moreover, Max finds the food delectable, and he's compelled to hog all of it for himself. The bride and bunny girl begin to feel apprehension about confronting him, given that he displayed aggression last night. Unlike them, Granny observes him with great interest, especially with his sudden change in demeanor. The elder proceeds to make fun of him, to which the two women join in. Offended, Max abruptly stands up and proceeds to get dressed, but Granny isn't threatened by his actions. She simply lets him be and watches him leave the cabin, giving him the liberation to decide if he's still staying with them. Shortly after, Max is outside the cabin and he scans his surroundings with great awe, knowing that it's been a while since he's seen such a view. Now, he decides to explore the forest in order to find Stacey. Hours later, Granny goes out of the cabin and hopes that Max has returned, but she's disappointed when he's still away. Another hour has passed, yet Max is still nowhere to be found. That's why Granny invites her two remaining family members, who are patiently waiting for the new patriarch's return, to get inside their cabin. Speaking of Max, the man arrives at his and Stacey's camp, but he finds their area abandoned. He starts to investigate the area, but he only discovers that their food was stolen, which leads him to believe that someone's raided their camp and captured Stacey. He can't stop himself from crying as he mourns his girlfriend's disappearance. Thinking he has no one now, Max embraces his life as the patriarch and begins his hunt. That night, Max arrives at a road and waits for a possible prey to appear. As if on cue, a car is about to approach his location, so Max suddenly stands in front of it. The driver, Charlie, is concerned about his strange actions, so he wonders if he needs help. The next morning, the three women take their baths when Max, who's carrying Charlie's body, appears, which elicits an excited response from Bunny Girl. Due to this, the two women head in his direction, so Max is compelled to carry Charlie's body down the stream. Upon putting him down, a severely injured Charlie pleads with the group to set him free, but they just laugh at his ridiculous request. Granny then orders Bunny Girl to retrieve the gasoline can from under their cabin, to which the woman quickly complies. Once she returns, Granny begins to harvest Charlie's organs, much to her family members' delight. She offers it to Max and the man consumes it without a second thought. This leads the bride and Bunny Girl to try to seduce him, and Max gives in to them. While her family members are preoccupied, Granny pours gasoline on Charlie and sets him on fire. During dinner, as the family feasts on Charlie's body, Bunny Girl starts to tease Max, and the man responds by carrying her to their bed. The bride follows suit, for she wants to join their moment. In the middle of the night, Granny shows Max the identification card they recovered from him, trying to remind him of his old self. However, Max abandons such a life, so he throws his ID into the fire, surprising the woman. Then, she hands him a couple of paper bills, but again, Max throws them into the fire for he doesn't need them anymore. Curious, Granny wonders if he considers them his new family, and Max confirms it by allowing the woman to caress his face. Touched by his confirmation, Granny nuzzles her head into the man's hand and kisses it. After this, Granny shows him the last possession she got from him, a photograph of Max with Stacey. This time, he doesn't throw it on the fire and simply looks at the picture, reminiscing the memories he had with her. The following morning, Granny hands him an axe, which the man gladly accepts. Back in the cabin, Bunny Girl awakens and becomes delighted after discovering that their patriarch has fixed her mask. Therefore, she rushes out of their house to hug him out of gratitude. Moments later, the family members lead Max into the middle of the forest, where Stacey is restrained by the tree. Max stops in his tracks as he didn't expect that his girlfriend is still alive. Immediately, Granny orders the two women to free Stacey from the restraints, and they comply. They proceed to drag the unconscious woman in front of Max, and such actions awaken her from a deep slumber. Upon seeing her boyfriend's horrifying appearance, Stacey begins to cry as she can't believe what happened to him. Moreover, she becomes terrified when she sees him wielding an axe, so she begs him not to hurt her. Max suddenly lets go of the axe as he still has a lingering affection for his girlfriend. He approaches her, but the bride simply looks at him with a tinge of disappointment. Affectionately, Max wipes away Stacey's tears, whereas the woman expresses her horror at what the family has done to him. To console her, Max hugs her, and Stacey pleads with him to save her. Unfortunately, he has sworn his loyalty to his new family, so he returns to grab the axe, terrifying Stacey. The bride and bunny girl subdues her, which allows Max to finish her quickly. Now that Stacey's gone, Max, alongside his family members, begins to devour her remains. It turns out that on the night when Granny handed Max the photograph, he abandoned their relationship because he also burned it on the fireplace.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.